Okay, my name is Dave. In Canada here. I'll be talking kilometers and Canadian dollars. Talking to you about my 2018 Honda CBR500R that I purchased brand new. I'll tell you the price I bought it for. Here she is inside our little bike garage. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the things that are dumb about her, the things that are good about her. I've had about 15 motorcycles and I've been riding for well over 40 years. There are way more good things than bad things about this bike. I was looking to downsize for some time. I don't know if this will work well, but so I bought it new 2019 in September, so I've ridden it for about 10 months now, put about 5,800 kilometers on this motorcycle. I managed to get it out the door for $6,994 everything, all that freight, PDI, garbage, government fees, and taxes, 7,000 Canadian. So that's the first good. Okay, we'll back her out. First good thing about the 2018 Honda CB500R, I believe it's like 438 pounds wet. She's got 16.7 liter fuel tank. It's remarkably maneuverable. Short in the seat too, which I am. Okay, couple of silly things I noticed right off the bat with this bike. There's the bike anyways. It's a beautiful looking bike. Reasonable mirrors, you do see a lot of your forearm, but you know, I've had worse. They look better than they really are. Change the windscreen. My top complaint is there's just nothing available in a touring windscreen. I've put on this laminar lip. Seems to create more buffeting than anything, but I'm living with it. That is my major complaint. So the bike itself. Okay, we were just talking about the good and the bad of this bike. Obviously the good, the price. Secondly, she's beautiful. Under 7,000 Canadian. Lots of range. Another amazing thing, this thing is easily, when ridden like a human, will produce 30 kilometers per liter without even trying, and often 32, 34. It's got a 16.7 liter including reserve. So 400 kilometers, you're starting to think about getting fuel and you're not even worried. I brought it up to 500 kilometers on the tank. No problem. So, one of the complaints, the 2018 still has the older exhaust system. I think they upgraded in 2019. There's dual exits and much more thumpier. This bike is so quiet. It's the first bike I've ever had that it's quiet and smooth. So listening for gear changes, wind noise, because there's basically no fairing to speak of, the wind noise overwhelms the engine noise because the engine is smooth, beautiful. It's super quiet. You don't feel buzz. You don't feel... So the feedback to shift gears isn't there as much as any other bike I've ever ridden. It's not much of a complaint, much of a first world problem. Super reliable, super good bike. I've put 5,800K on it by now. Gorgeous looking motorcycle. Chain drive, single front brake. Everyone complains that, you know, oh, the brakes aren't like... I don't do front wheelies and stoppies and all these things. So there's lots of brakes. Don't even think on it. There's lots of brakes. Then the giant advantage of not having to buy tons of pads and all the extra. It only needs one set of brakes. It's not a race bike. There's not a lot of things to tie down to. Nothing, basically. I got this cool little Nelson rig. Looks not too bad. I took the pillion right off and mounted it right straight on, easy as pie. That doesn't look too shabby. I'm sort of happy with that. And it's quite a voluminous bag. It's got some size to her, volume bag. Stupid things now. A couple of dumb ones that are more annoying than anything. the radiator cap. This, you can start to get it turned, and once you got it turned a quarter of the way, it binds against the fairing. Just ridiculous. So when I bought this bike originally, it was brand new, 1 kilometer on it. Apparently bikes lose a little bit of antifreeze from new during the first 1,000 K, so I noticed the antifreeze in the overflow had gone down. Here's another stupid thing. Here's how you check the overflow. The overflow isn't up here like you might think. She's way around. You get in your hands and your knees and you look from the chain and you go, oh, there's the overflow. So now you can see I have some in a cold engine. I have some overflow. So you literally, when my overflow was dry, I had to make sure that I was at least topped up in my rad. So you cannot get that rad cap off. So then you come and you start taking many little pins off. And you have to take off the entire right side fairing. This whole thing has to come off so that you can get this rad cap off, because she won't turn. I'm probably going to cut a piece of plastic out there, because that's just stupid. Because Honda, since the 60s, has always managed to mount little mounting nubbin grommet things, a little peg with a grommet. Every side cover on a 70s bike was mounted that way pretty much. And if you can find a side cover that doesn't have the broken off mounting peg for the grommet, you're a hero. They all have broken pegs. So what did Honda do to sort of go back to their antiquity? They put one mounting grommet here. So when you're taking off all the screws and you're trying to figure out how to uncinch this, and you're prying and prodding, because she's sort of like a friction fit deal, then you don't realize this stupid little pin, she broke right off instantly. There's my fancy repair. No big deal. But annoying as hell. Honda, don't put any more of those snap-off grommets. It's my fault, but that's a bad design. Good things about the bike. I wouldn't want to ride on the back of it. Don't know if I love the tailpiece, but it works. She's bright lights all around. Great looking engine cases. Great looking engine cases. Another dumb thing, not too annoying, but if you ever want to adjust your shock, you know, any bike I've ever had, adjusting the shock is a straightforward and easy process. I've seen online where you can get in there to adjust that shock without taking things off, and I tried and I said, well, that's just stupid. So you get yourself an Allen wrench and very simply take these two out. Take off your passenger, oh no, that's your main stand. Take off your main left, and then you can get the wrench into the bottom to adjust it. And then you put this back on. You don't adjust it much, but that's a bit of a whiny point, but is clearly stupid. Okay, so the bike is a good bike. She's smooth. She's tracks beautifully for such a light bike. Very happy with the handling. The seat's nice and low, albeit a bit hard. I have put an air hawk on it for longer rides. Don't know if I like the air hawk though. So she's smooth, she's quiet, she's cheap, she looks great. Got a few little tweaky things about her, but overall, well worth the money. Okay, what else can we say? Long range on this bike, 500K if ridden sanely. Never had a bike with that kind of range. It's so nice to not think. My wife's motorcycle at about 120K, 140, you're starting to think about where you got to get gas. At 400, you're just going, I should go. And I think I once pushed it to 490. Can't remember what the fill-up was. It's got nice, everything's in kilometers per liter, which is sort of nice, instead of the liters per 100K, which I don't particularly love. She's got the standard screw-on oil filter. Oil changes are a breeze in this bike, no big deal at all. What else? Nice rubber on it, nice big fat chunky rubber, making her look bigger than she really is. All this plastic, unless you know anything about motorcycles, you'll think this is a big sport bike. It's not a sport bike, it's just a nice cool looking, not a scooter, but not a sport bike. You learn that immediately. There is a very linear power curve. Got all the power you want. You don't get beat at lights except by motorcycles. She's short shifting. She spins pretty high when you're doing 120 on the highway. I think you're doing well over 5,000 K, more like 5,400 if I remember correctly. Seat's a pain in the arse to get off. Doesn't pop up. You got to actually take Allen keys and take 2 bolts out, and that's sort of stupid. But cheap. Riser handlebars. They're clip-on, but they're sort of fake clip-ons. I will think of more things as we go. I think we'll time to go for a ride. Okay, we are recording. Super hot day today here in Ontario, Canada. In the end of July 2020. Whew, hopefully the audio's working. I rigged up a cheap mic system. If I can't do it for $10, I ain't doing it. Where is that mic anyhow? She's right up there, I believe. Yeah, feels. Yep.
Are you gonna eat that burger in the fridge?
So there's my son's main concern of the day. Yes, you can have the burger in the fridge.
Really?
Of course. See you later. Damn, that was a good burger I cooked last night. Better on his hips than mine. Okay. So, nice dash. It's got all what you expect on it. I really like the... tells you how much actual liters you've burned on the 16.7 liter total volume tank, including reserve. Ignore that. Everything else is standard. Really dislike, I don't know why they did that. They did this. They put the horn over the turn indicators. For the first day, you're beeping the freaking horn every time you go to turn. And so far, every time I've had to use the horn in a hurry-up, worrying situation, I usually hit the indicators. Okay, let's hope that that's a good view. Here's startup, fuel injected, of course. So absolutely nothing to start this thing. Very light clutch. I believe the 2018 doesn't have the slipper clutch, the slipper assist for downshift lockup, but still one of the lightest clutches I've ever used, except on like a toy bike. And we still rolling here? Yes. Okay. Very smooth gearbox. No complaints about this gearbox. I'm 58 years old. It's time to slow down on bikes. Riding around on 750 inline 4s, I still love the sound of them, and I miss that. But at the end of the day, using the potential of that machine was very limited, and usually would get you into trouble, life and limb and law. So you come to the point of what's the point, you know? So I wanted a smaller bike, and everything I was looking at, I even considered going to my original first bikes, like my 71 CB350. I found a couple, you know, in pretty good shape too. Didn't think a 350 could do it, and didn't want to play with carbs that much anymore. That's all I've ever done. So then, now this helmet's hot. Whew, this is a hot helmet. I'm not used to this one, but it's all I got the mic hooked into for now. I wonder if it's got any vents. Yeah, they're open. Oh well. So the bike, as I said, is extremely quiet. It's very linear, without no pulse quickening power band. So I'm not riding around in a Ferrari anymore, which is what a inline bike feels like. Hello. you know. But the thing is, again, what are you doing with all that power and all that weight? So my last bike was an inline 754, inline 4, and she honked, and she looked good, she felt good. 4 carbs. Every time you had to do the valve adjust, you had to balance the carbs. One cylinder would perpetually, you know, be a little leaner than the rest. You're always sort of farting around, and so I've had fuel injection on a couple of older BMWs in the past. I've had a couple of K bikes, K75 and such from the 80s, and they had fuel injection. Those are about the only fuel injections I've ever had. Other than that, I've always fiddled about with carburetors. They're nice and simple, but they do let you down. And fuel injection, pretty much just like your car, you might never deal with it. Anyways, this bike really, you just nothing to move it around. As I say, bike weight is often, I remember reading somewhere that the weight is a dry weight, not including battery, not including fluids, not, you know, hell, I have a pilot's license. It's extremely important to know my weight and balance and how that thing's gonna perform. Yeah, we're just gonna go out in front of this boy here. So here's a bit of acceleration for you. You know, again, it's super light. I believe it's under 440 pounds wet. Battery, fluids, and a full fuel tank. I hope this is picking up. Don't know how well this mic system, probably, again, get a lot of buffeting off this. I don't know if I love it. There is nothing that I can find that is a touring windscreen that fits on the 2018 Honda CBR. It's got a different mounting system from about 2016 on. So in 2016 you can get a taller windshield, and 2016 and under. So this is a 500cc bike twin, liquid cooled. It's actually about 471cc twin. It's quiet, very smooth, very agile. Again, I think I have like a 31-inch inseam, more like 30. Fits perfect. I've lost a few pounds. I'm down to about 170. Handles the weight beautifully. I've tightened up the front forks. These pretty little fork caps. You just turn those down and put a little more rebound pressure and just shock adjust. And I played with the main shock, tightened it up. I like a stiffer suspension rather than a sloppier suspension. As you see, without the pillion, I never carry anyone, and basically I never carry anyone. My wife has her own motorcycle. This would not be recommended as a 2-up machine. Never really carried 2-up on it, but I know it's not a good 2-up machine. Mirrors aren't too shabby. You always see your elbows, and you're sort of always tucking in your elbows to see directly behind you. I've had people pass me on highways where I didn't even see that they were behind me. So like I say, those big sticky outy mirrors look like you should see everything under the sun, and they're not bad. I've had much worse, and I'm sure there's some sort of way of extending them. But at the same time, they're not horrible, they're usable. I am going to watch, the winds are perfect to watch the airplanes landing on runway 25 at our local airport. So I'll be watching landings. The wind is about 230 degrees, so runway 25 will be good for the landings, and I'll just sit there and watch. I haven't been flying at all lately. It's just too damned expensive, plus the whole stupid shutdown of the entire world. But anyways, nice motorcycle. Riding position, just the way I like it. Not too much arm weight, not too much sit on your rump weight. Pretty much as good as it gets for me. Cannot complain about the riding position. Again, I'm 5'6.5". I'm towering. So I'm a short guy. I've spent my whole bike career trying to find a good looking sporty kind of bike that isn't too tall. Now the Japanese aren't too bad at it. My XJ650 and XJ550 inline 4s fit me beautifully. The Honda GL500, the Honda CX500s, everything fit me beautifully. By far the worst, the BMWs, the K75s, just too damn tall for me. Heavy bike and you're tippy-toeing around at intersections. Never dropped them, but in my opinion, needlessly tall. They are not dirt bikes. Now I did have an F650 GS I should say, Galanda Strada, which I rode out to Wisconsin and back. It was a very light motorcycle, lighter than this bike. It was a single 650 thumper, liquid cooled, Rotax. It had a seat height that was absolutely proper for me. My last inline 4, the Kawasaki ZR750S, had a seat height that was perfect for me. I wasn't even really looking for a bike, and when I saw the price of this bike on the showroom floor and I sat on it and realized I don't think I've ever fit on a bike so well, I wasn't even looking to buy a bike. And the bike was, I think it was marked down to 5,900 Canadian. And while I was in the shop, I just yelled to the single salesman out there. I said, okay, like if you can get this out the door for 7,000 Canadian, I'll buy it right now. Thinking full well, as most offers go, I would get an eye roll from the salesman or some sort of dummy. He goes to his book and starts figuring, and I'm going, oh my goodness, am I actually going to stick to my word here? Not really looking for a new bike, but my bike at the time had 66,000 K, was running like a top, had all new chain sprockets, new rubber, and pads were good. There's no reason to be upgrading or changing. And sure enough, the guy goes, I think I can do that. So there's my 6994, everything in. So I turned around and sold my inline 4 certified to the first guy that came to look at it. It's always nice to be able to move stuff and not have to dick around. And so I always ask, I certify everything and ask a low price. If you want to sell something first shot, certify it, like keep them in top shape so you don't have to kill yourself to certify it. Basically, I did nothing to certify a 2004 motorcycle with 66,000 K on it. Did nothing. I paid the cert of 65 Canadian. And it's hard. And I put it up for sale for 1,200 bucks because she was an air-cooled, carbed, with some, you know, some miles on her. She'd go another bunch of years, but with the guy doing nothing to it. But the first guy comes, you know, he sees I take care of my stuff, and he just bought it. So it was gone. Then I sold my snow machine, and then all I had to do was raise a few $1,000s to pay this bike off. So she's totally paid off. Brand new bike paid off in like 8 or 9 months without any great hardship. Okay. So she's got decent torque for a 471cc parallel twin. Torquey motor, not a thumper torque, you know, not a great big flywheel spinning, flywheel turning the pistons kind of engine. But when you crack the throttle, you're going to go pretty much anywhere on that power band. You know, I'm always shifting around 4,500. So I got 5,806 kilometers on her. Okay, so we're coming around the airport. It's a windy day. People might not be flying. You might not even be hearing me talk, actually. Because it's a windy day. it's a hot, turbulent, density altitude kind of day. I see no one. This is where I've been parking my bike. A lot of people just stare at me like I'm out of my mind. But this is where I've been parking the bike. Right here. There's runway 0725. Any airplanes? Okay. Nothing flying very much today. She's a bit windy. Low ceilings. As far as people who want to do circuits and do a lot of takeoffs and landings, only the brave will be out today. Personally, I liked heavy winds. You know, it made you feel a little more confident. But it was also fun. It was like a boat bouncing through the waves and still getting to where you need to go by correcting all the way. Anyways, other cool things about this motorcycle. Did I mention she looks great? So anyone who knows things about motorcycles, man, a lot of people here today. Holy mother of God. Is this speaker still working? Okay. What lockdown? Okay. That bike, to the untrained eye, which is like 98% of people, is a sport bike, beautiful looking, gorgeous motorcycle, powerful. Even when they hear it, they have no idea. At work, people think I have a race bike. But to people who know about bikes, they look at this and go, I see that. I can see your two downpipes, and she sounds like a little kitten. So there's a lot of plastic in there with a very skinny parallel twin in there. But, so yes, she's a sheep in wolf's clothing, without doubt. But everyone, and I mean everyone, says, what a beautiful bike. Remember when I was in the driveway and that Amazon delivery guy came. He has himself a 500 bullet Royal Enfield, and he just talked about how beautiful this motorcycle was. He was surprised to hear it was only 500 cc's. Things like that. When I told him the cost of it was $7,000 out the door, he said, that's what a brand new car costs in my in India. I believe he's from India. So me saying it was cheap at $7,000 probably wasn't him hearing it was cheap at $7,000. There is nobody flying. Yeah, this would be turbulent air for sure. A lot of ground heat. Yeah, I can see white caps. I've flown in this. Scared myself too. Sorry, bit of a roll and stop there. This town is beautiful. Wasn't born here, but very lucky to find a woman from here and have us be able to settle here. Okay, so here's the airport, CYGK, where I fly out of. Right off the golf course. Of course, the golf course is called The Landings. There's a Harvard on a pin over there. One of the World War II trainers. The Americans have a similar aircraft. I can't remember what it's called, T-41 or something like that. Essentially the same aircraft though. So there's our Harvard up in the pin. There's the shutdown. Fly Kingston and Ontario Advanced Ultralights, which I flew a light sport aircraft for, have both shut down within months of each other. Oh, that's one of the flight instructors driving his Kawasaki KLR 650. Tony? Yep. There you go. That was cool. Bumped into one of the flight instructors in Kingston here. He's starting his own school now. Will I start flying again? I don't know. It's fun having money. What do they say about flying? How do you make a small fortune? You start flying and you turn it into a small fortune into a... Oh wait. I never can tell a joke. So you still get to treat it like a motorcycle. Like, she still will get you in tons of trouble. There's never a vehicle that you even think about that you need to overcome. You just treat it like a motorcycle, which doesn't want to wind out. You know, that power band wind out at 6,500 RPM, but wants to walk up to 8 on you. She just sort of creates power in greater and greater amounts, but again in an extremely linear fashion. There's no surprises, but there's also not that yeehaw. But she'll get you in every bit of trouble, and I can heartily recommend this bike with my lowly 5,800 kilometers on it. Seems like a very well built machine, fit and finish wise. You know, again, I always laugh at reviews that are like brand new vehicle like this, because really, you know, what do you know about it? But you can do your gut impressions. So when I was buying this bike, a video like this, and there's a few of them out there, but a lot of them were people just walking around showing you the angles of the bike. Couldn't believe how many times I clicked on it and be some guy walking around it showing various angles of the motorcycle. Now there's a few good ones to talk about the bike, but anyway, she is a fuel sipper. She doesn't use much. Extremely smooth transmission. Never think on it. Fairing could be way better if they had some options. Ooh, look at that big cloud. Oh yeah, another thing on again, a small complaint. I think I once on one of my motorcycles, maybe one of the Beamers, had a gear indicator. And this is a 6-speed box. It's beautiful tranny. Again, light clutch, beautiful tranny. But the truth is, because it's so quiet and it's not buzzy, there's less than I've ever really had, especially for a twin. No real big buzzes on it. Pegs are solid. You know, here I'm 3,000, 4,000. You can feel a bit of a buzz, I think, but nothing that is so prominent. I've had so many bikes that when I get this buzz is I'm going to shift in just a touch. You know, the buzz tells you where you are. This bike is so quiet and so smooth. I constantly find myself shifting from 6th into a non-existing 7th. It's torquey, so you don't really feel it lugging anywhere. So when you're at 5 or 6, but when you're 6, you're okay. It sounds like I could dump her down, dump another gear in there. And I constantly do a false upshift on 6. I love when people roll like that. I don't even know if he's stopping. Don't even know if he sees me. I love all those signs. Please slow down, kids playing. Slow down, go 40 kilometers an hour through this little neighborhood. Please slow down, kids playing. I don't know, I've been here since 1998, and I often take this as a nice little side road. It's pleasant. I don't speed, but I don't think I have ever seen a child playing. There is no road hockey, there is no kids doing hoops in the driveway. There is no children. It's as though some big bomb went off and all the children disappeared. It's called social media. But please don't put up signs of non-existent children on the road. Bit of a sheep in wolf's clothing. But exactly what I was looking for as far as engine size, quality. My son and I built this great little motorcycle shed. Oh, fan just kicked on. And there you go. There you have it. The Honda CBR500R 2018. There's my wife's 2008. What used to be called the Savage 650, I believe they call them the S40 now. They've made this bike for something like 35 years. Almost no changes whatsoever. Ciao.